The Bihar Police has unearthed a diabolical plot on the part of certain extremist organizations to establish an Islamic state in India by the year 2047. It also involves an attempt to in fact target the serving Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, as well. This follows two very critical arrests that were made by the Bihar Police, including one of a former police inspector, where these revelations have now been unearthed, and Times Now has exclusively accessed the dossier that in fact enumerates this diabolical plot. Let me in fact take this across to Swati Joshi, who's joining us from the studio in Noida to take us through the details of what that dossier in fact mentions. Over to you, Swati.
Right. Thank you, Siddharth. Chilling details have come to fore about the agenda, the sinister plot of establishing Islamic rule by 2047 in India after the terror module was busted by the Bihar Police. And this is that 8-page document that the Bihar Police seized after the first two arrests were made. This has been accessed by Times Now. Let's take our viewers through it. The title is India 2047 towards rule of Islam in India, and it also says internal document not for circulation. So of course this was a sinister plot and this was meant to be kept within the group, but after the terror module was busted, the Bihar Police seized this document that talks about the various steps of how Islamic rule will be established in India by 2047. Let me directly take you to page number 3, and this is the operative part. It says stages of progression towards Islamic rule. We foresee a 4-stage progress towards reaching our goal. In the first stage, we need to establish ourselves wherever Muslims are available and try to unite them all under the flag of Popular Front of India, irrespective of their sects and affiliation. So, Popular Front of India, remember the Bihar Police said that the terror module is linked to the Popular Front of India extremist organization, and here it talks about bringing everybody under the flag of Popular Front of India. Further it says, for this one needs to repeatedly remind Muslim community of its grievances and establish grievances where there is none. So, if there are grievances, you need to repeatedly remind the Muslim community of that, and if there are no grievances, then you need to establish grievances. All our frontal organizations, including parties, should be focused on expanding and recruiting new members. Simultaneously, we have to establish an Islamic identity among everyone beyond the concept of being an Indian. We would begin to recruit and train members into our PE department, wherein they should be given training on attacking and defensive techniques, use of swords, rods and other weapons. So they are first talking about uniting the entire community, bringing them under the flag of Popular Front of India. They are also saying that we need to take into account the grievances of the Muslim community, and we need to establish grievances where there are none. We need to also provide them training. We need to train them on attacking and defensive techniques, use of swords, rods and other weapons as well. Now moving on, the second stage is about strengthening and spreading the narrative of grievances far and wide. Endeavor for mass mobilization under the leadership of PFI and use violence selectively to demonstrate our strength and terrorize our opponents while limiting exposure of our trained cadre to security forces. From all the cadres who are being given PE, those with talent are to be spotted and recruited to be given advanced training on weapons including firearms and explosives. So in the first step, unite everyone under the flag of PFI, create grievances if there are none. In the second stage, there needs to be mass mobilization, a step-by-step guide to how the Islamic rule will be established in India by 2047 according to this document. The third stage talks about party should form close alliances with SCs, STs, OBCs and win elections at all levels, at least in few seats. The party should gain the trust of 50% of Muslims and 10% of SCs, STs, OBCs in this stage. So they are looking at contesting elections as well, and not just reaching out to the Muslim community. This is very important. Forming close alliances with the SCs, STs and OBCs as well. Moving on, in the final stage, the document says in the final stage, party should become the undisputed leader and representative of the entire Muslim community by sidelining all other Muslim organizations. The party should also gain the trust of 50% of SCs, STs, OBCs and emerge as their representative too. So this is that step-by-step guide to establish Islamic State, Islamic rule in India by 2047, unite everybody under the flag of PFI, give them weapons training, identify their grievances, create grievances, establish grievances so that if there are none, it also talks about contesting elections and winning the confidence of not just Muslim community, but of the SCs, STs and OBCs as well.
Right, and the two people who've been arrested by the Bihar Police, Swati, were in fact accused of imparting arms training to several people who'd been in fact brought in to Bihar from different parts of the country. But a little further up in the dossier that you've accessed, Swati, there's something interesting that's been mentioned, and that is that the PFI would require, according to the dossier, only 10% of support on the part of the Muslim community in India to subjugate the majority community. That's also a claim that's been made in the dossier.
Right, absolutely. Now, let me, take you through the other pointers that have been mentioned. It says PFI in every house strategy. We are going to reach the popular front in every house of our nation. Our target is to recruit all eligible members of all families into the organization, party and other frontal wings. If it is not possible, recruit at least one of them to the organization. If not, recruit at least one to the party. If not, recruit any one of them to any of our frontals. If that is also not possible, make them readers of our magazines, articles, or at least readers, viewers at our social media postings. In short, ensure that all the families are keeping in touch with the organization in any of various possible ways and participate in PFI programs to the maximum extent possible. Remember, I earlier read out, Siddharth, that they want to sideline every other Muslim organization and they want to become the sole representatives of the Muslim community, and their agenda is to make sure that PFI reaches every Muslim household in one way or the other. At least one person of the family is affiliated to the PFI. If not, they want to ensure that at least they read views of PFI on social media. They go through their postings. So they want a presence to be established in each and every household. Now, here is the most important part. They are talking about recruitment and training of members. They are saying we must be aware of the fact that we are the only movement in these testing times that has stood up against the fascists. We have not got any citations or certifications from anybody, but we read in the eyes of our supporters the hope they repost in our organization. Similarly, moving on, this document also talks about collection of information against Hindu Sangh Parivar leaders. It says it is imperative to collect and keep ready detailed information about the personal details of Hindu RSS leaders and locations of their offices before the stage of final showdown comes. The information wings at various levels should keenly follow up and update their database. Tracking their activities would also help us in responding against their atrocities. So they want to create a database, a detailed information database about personal details of Hindu leaders, specifically RSS leaders, their locations, their offices before the stage of final showdown comes. So they want to create a database of the Hindu leaders. They are also talking about external help. Now, in the scenario of a full-fledged showdown with the state, apart from relying on our trained PE cadres, we would need help from friendly Islamic countries. In the last few years, PFI has developed friendly relationship with Turkey, a flag bearer of Islam. Efforts are on to cultivate reliable friendship in some other Islamic countries. So the document also talks about taking help from other countries when the time comes for a final showdown with the state. It talks about the extent to which the PFI was planning to gather help not just from within India by training its cadre, but by also trying to garner support from other Islamic countries.